The most expensive word in the English language isn't no, it's because. Every time you say because, you give away power. I can't because I'm busy. I didn't mean it because I was stressed. I'm sorry because I was tired. You think you're being clear. You think you're being helpful. What you're actually doing is telling the other person what you're afraid of, what you want, and how far they can push you. Because is an invitation to negotiate. Because says, here is my justification. Please accept it. And the moment you justify yourself, you've admitted that someone else gets to judge whether your reasons are good enough. The most powerful people never explain themselves, not because they're rude, because they understand something that most people never learn. Explanation is not clarity. Explanation is submission. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I watched a negotiation between a freelance designer and a major client. The client wanted the designer to work for half her normal rate. She said no. The client said, why not? She said, because I have other clients who pay my full rate. The client said, well, those are different projects. This one has more exposure. She said, because exposure doesn't pay my rent. The client said, we can offer you more work later. She said, because you haven't promised anything in writing. This went on for 20 minutes. Every because gave the client something to argue with. Every because turned no into a debate. By the end, the designer was exhausted, frustrated, and she took the lower rate just to end the conversation. Here's what she should have said. No. That's it. No because. No explanation, no justification, just no. When she said because, she opened a door. The client walked through it. When she says no with no explanation, there's no door. There's just a wall. You can't negotiate with a wall. But silence isn't just about saying no. Silence is about creating a void that other people cannot tolerate. Back in the early 2000s, neuroscientists made a discovery that changed how we understand social interaction. The brain processes social exclusion through the exact same pathway it uses for physical pain. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex fires when someone ignores you, the same region that activates when you burn your hand or break a bone. This is why silence is so uncomfortable. Your brain literally hurts. But here's what most people miss. The discomfort isn't evenly distributed. The person who creates the silence feels it less than the person who receives it. The person who speaks first loses. The person who fills the silence cedes control. Imagine a negotiation. You make an offer. The other person says nothing. 5 seconds pass. 10 seconds. Your brain starts screaming. You fill the void. You say we could be flexible on the timeline, or maybe we could come down on price. Or you know what? Forget it. Let's just do it your way. You just lost money because you couldn't tolerate silence. The prepared observer does the opposite. They create the void and wait every single time. There are 3 specific silences that will change every conversation you ever have. Learn them. Use them. Watch what happens. The first silence is the post-question pause. Someone asks you a question. Most people answer immediately. They think speed equals competence. It doesn't. Speed equals reactivity. Instead, pause for 3 full seconds before responding. 3 seconds feels like an eternity. Your brain will tell you to fill it. Ignore your brain. Look at them like you're considering something important, like their question is worth thinking about, like you're not in a hurry to serve them. 2 things happen when you do this. First, they often rephrase or add to the question. They get uncomfortable with the silence, so they talk more, and every word they add gives you more information about what they really want. Second, you look thoughtful instead of reactive. You look like someone who doesn't jump when someone else snaps their fingers. That alone shifts the power dynamic. Try this today. In your next conversation, pause for 3 seconds before answering anything. Even simple questions like, what do you want for lunch? The person asking will feel it. They won't know why, but they'll feel it. The second silence is the post-statement void. You make a statement, they respond, then you say nothing. This is excruciating for most people. They feel the need to add, clarify, soften, or repeat. Don't. Let your statement land. Let them sit with it. If you said something true and uncomfortable, the silence amplifies it. It becomes heavier. It becomes undeniable. If you said something false, the silence exposes it. The void asks the question you're not asking. Are you sure about that? Here's a specific example. You're in a meeting. Someone proposes an idea that you know won't work. You say, I don't think that's feasible given our current resources. They say, well, we could reallocate. Most people would respond. They'd say, reallocate from where, or that's not what I meant, or let me explain further. Instead, say nothing. Just look at them. Wait. The silence will pressure them to fill the gap. They'll say something like, I mean, we could cut the marketing budget, or maybe we could delay the launch, or you know what? You're right. Let me think about it. They just gave you more information than you asked for. They revealed their priorities, their flexibility, and their willingness to compromise. And you didn't say a word. The third silence is the refusal without explanation. This is the hardest one. Because everything in your social conditioning tells you to explain yourself, to be polite, to justify, to soften. No is a complete sentence. No thank you is also a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me is a complete sentence. Anything after that is a negotiation. When you explain your no, you give the other person something to argue with. No, I can't. Because I'm busy gives them the opening to say, well, what about Tuesday? No, I don't want to, because I'm tired, gives them the opening to say, you always say you're tired. No alone gives them nothing. There's nothing to argue with. There's no door to walk through. This feels rude at first. That's because you've been trained to apologize for your boundaries. You've been trained that your needs are less important than other people's requests. Unlearn that. The people who matter won't need your explanation. They'll respect your no because they respect you. The people who demand an explanation were going to exploit your kindness anyway. Their response to your no tells you everything about who they are. But silence isn't just a weapon, it's also a diagnostic tool. The best time to read someone is when they're explaining themselves under pressure. Watch for the ramble. They add details no one asked for. I was going to call you, but then my phone died, and then I had to take my dog to the vet, and then traffic was bad. Each extra sentence is an attempt to convince themselves, not you. Honest people give you the headline. Liars give you the novel. Watch for the justification cascade. I did X because Y, and Y was necessary because Z, and Z came from W. The more layers of justification, the less confident they are. Someone who is certain doesn't need to build a case. They state the fact and move on. Watch for the appeal to authority. Everyone agrees that. Studies show that. My therapist says that. When someone borrows credibility, instead of owning their position, they're unsure. They're hiding behind other people's opinions. Watch for the attack. Why are you even asking? That's a weird question. I can't believe you'd bring that up. The question is defensive. They're not curious about your motives. They're buying time while their brain scrambles for an answer. You don't need to respond to any of this. Just watch. The information is free, and every word they add is another rope they hand you. Here's what you actually do starting tomorrow. Action 1. In your next 3 conversations, pause for 4 seconds before answering any question. Count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Don't warn them. Just do it. Notice who fills the silence. Notice how it feels to not be the one filling it. Action 2. The next time someone asks why after you say no, respond with, because that's my decision. That's the only explanation you owe. Watch their reaction. Someone who respects you will accept it. Someone who is trying to control you will get frustrated. That frustration is data. Action 3. Practice the 10-second silence in a low-stakes setting. Ordering coffee, asking a friend a simple question. After they answer, say nothing for 10 seconds. It will feel like an hour. You will want to laugh or apologize or say something. Don't. Just sit in it. You'll learn more about them in those 10 seconds than in the previous 10 minutes. You'll also learn something about yourself, how hard it is to just be quiet, and why that discomfort is the key to everything. And here's the one question that ends every manipulation attempt. Commit this to memory. What makes you say that? It's not aggressive, it's not defensive, it's just curious. But it forces the other person to reveal their assumptions, their sources, and often their agenda. Someone says, "You're being difficult." You say, "What makes you say that?" Now they have to explain. 9 times out of 10, they can't. Or they reveal that they're repeating someone else's opinion. Or they admit that they're frustrated about something else entirely. Someone says, "You don't care about this relationship." You say, "What makes you say that?" Now they have to point to specific behaviors. Either they can, in which case you have something concrete to address, or they can't, in which case you know the accusation was emotional, not factual. This question works because it refuses to accept the frame. It turns the spotlight back on them. It says, "I'm not going to defend myself against a vague accusation. Show me your evidence. Use it generously. Use it with people you love and people you don't trust. It will change every argument you ever have." Here's the deeper truth. Most people think power is loud. They think it's the person who talks the most, interrupts the most, fills every silence with their voice. They're wrong. Power is the person who can sit in silence while everyone else panics. Power is the person who doesn't need to explain. Power is the person who says no and then says nothing else. You don't need to manipulate anyone. You don't need to be cold or calculating. You just need to stop filling silence that isn't yours to fill. The next time you feel the urge to explain, to justify, to fill the void, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this for them or for my own discomfort? Most of the time, it's your discomfort, and your discomfort is not their problem. Sit in the silence. Let them speak first. Watch what happens. You already know what will happen. They'll crack, and you'll still be sitting there, silent, watching, in control. Not because you took control, because you never gave it away. That's the secret. That's always been the secret. The person who needs the least from the interaction controls it. Not because they're powerful, because they're not thirsty. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop filling voids. Start watching. Start waiting. Start winning. The silence is yours. Use it.